Hello, and welcome to Synology Product Online Training. For today's topic, we will be covering our global file system, Synology Hybrid Share. My name is Josue Guzman, and I'm a product manager here at Synology out of our office in the Americas. We have an amazing presentation for you all, full of demos, and we hope that you all gain some insight into our hybrid cloud solution. Our topic for today is Hybrid Share, our global file system powered by Synology C2 with data centers all around the world. Our guide for our presentation today is a few offices here in the Americas, Seattle, California, as well as our office in Reston, Virginia. All of these offices have their own Synology NAS device, and of course, each office has different sets of employees focusing on different functions of the business. From here, each office has Hybrid Share enabled, with them accessing different sets of data, but it's all interconnected via C2 storage through our global file system. Now, with each office having remote employees, those remote employees can access data through the Synology Drive client or through the mobile client as well. Again, giving them access to our global file system as well as access to their respective Synology NAS devices. On the agenda for today, we will be talking about C2 storage and Hybrid Share. Exactly what is C2 storage and what is the integration with Hybrid Share? And then we'll take a closer look at the global file system and some important considerations as to why you want features such as file locking and our close-knit integration with Synology Drive for your remote workforce. Now onto section 1. Our topics will be C2 storage and Hybrid Share. Now, during this section, we will be talking about C2 storage and some of the features and security available with our C2 platform. From there, we will move on and cover Hybrid Share and what it means to run Hybrid Share on a Synology NAS and the integration and connectivity with our C2 platform. Synology C2 is our cloud platform with solutions such as C2 storage and Hybrid Share, C2 backup, C2 identity, and many other services. Now, with our C2 cloud platform, we have data centers across the world. Our first data center launched in Germany, then the US, and now Taiwan. When selecting a cloud platform, you want to think about security. Synology C2 addresses your security concerns through encryption at rest and encryption in transit. We also offer client-side encryption with Hyper Backup and Hybrid Share. Through our mobile application, we offer two-factor authentication through code generation. And lastly, we offer data resilience with 9 nines of data durability. Synology C2 storage is going to be the main integration between your on-premise Synology NAS and our C2 cloud platform. For our first demo, we will take a look at our C2 storage portal. So here I've logged into my account and you'll see my dashboard. You'll see how much storage is being utilized by Hyper Backup, and we'll get a sense of how much storage is being used by Hybrid Share. We'll also get a sense of how much available storage I have. In my case, I have 1 terabyte available. From here, we can get a look at our folder and task usage, and we'll get a percentage of both Hyper Backup and Hybrid Share. If we wanted to, we can take a closer look at either of those to get a sense of our percentage. Now, to manage our subscription, we can simply click our username on the top right. We click Manage Subscription, and from here, we can subscribe. Once you click Subscribe, you'll get the ability to increase your storage capacity from 1 to 2 terabytes, for example, on a monthly or annual basis. So this was our first demo, everyone. It was short and quick. Just wanted to provide everyone with an overview of our C2 storage portal. C2 storage has 3 main uses. It functions as a destination for your Hyper Backup task on your on-premise Synology NAS device, Hybrid Share, which is our main topic for today, and our global file system, and lastly, C2 Storage Explorer, which allows you to get access to Hybrid Share files via a web browser. Hybrid Share is a service that runs on your Synology NAS. We can configure a local cache to get access to our files locally, and from there, those files are synced automatically to our C2 storage platform. From there, through a central data lake, You can even configure a 2-bay desktop NAS to get access to hundreds of terabytes, and you also have the ability to set up snapshots for versioning. Through our DSM integration, we integrate with FileStation, CloudSync, HyperBackup, and many more applications. Lastly, HybridShare gives us the ability to get access to our files through the file protocol of our choice. HybridShare supports SMB CIFS, AFP, FTP, and many more file protocols. For our next demo, we will be looking at mounting a HybridShare folder on a Synology NAS. So here we've gone to our C2 storage portal. We'll go here to HybridShare, and we'll click Create. We'll call this folder Accounting, and give this folder a minimum quota of 500 gigabytes. We'll click Create, and the folder is now created. As you can see, this folder is uninitialized, meaning we have to mount this folder on a Synology NAS to initialize it. So we'll jump here to a Synology NAS. We'll go to the control panel, Shared Folder, Create, and we'll mount a HybridShare folder. Now we'll click Start, and it's going to authenticate against our C2 account. Since I'm already logged in, it's a pretty seamless process. I'll click Next. Now you'll notice that the accounting folder is uninitialized and that 0 devices are connected. So we can go ahead and click that and hit OK. And this next step is we'll create an encryption key specifically for this HybridShare folder on the Synology NAS. Next, we can click Next, and then it'll download the encryption key for us. From here, the process of creating the HybridShare folder looks very similar to the shared folder process on a Synology NAS. It requires a minimum of 500 gigabytes on the Synology NAS as well. We'll click Next, Next, and from here we can assign any default user permissions as well. As you can see, the folder accounting is now initialized and now it's connected. The icon here lets us know that this is a HybridShare folder versus the other shared folders on the Synology NAS. Now we'll jump back into our C2 storage portal and we'll enable snapshots. So to do so, we can go to Snapshot Policy, and we can enable a snapshot schedule. Here's when the snapshots will run, and we have the option of keeping X number of snapshots or keeping all snapshots for X number of days. So we'll click Save. Now we'll go back, and as you can see, we haven't taken any snapshots yet, which is why 0 space is being used, but we'll go here back to our Synology NAS. We'll go to FileStation, and as you can see, this HybridShare folder has this cloud icon, and let me go ahead and add some files. Now you'll notice that the status of this has a green check mark, which lets us know that this file is pinned on the local cache. For our next step, we will be mounting the HybridShare folder via the SMB protocol on a Mac. So we'll connect to server. We'll enter the hostname of this NAS with the accounting HybridShare folder, and we'll enter our credentials for the specific NAS. Now we'll click Sales Demo, Accounting, and as you can see, I have access via the SMB protocol on my Mac for files that we've added to HybridShare. Moving on to Section 2, Global File System with HybridShare. Now for this section, we will review multi-site HybridShare. We will discuss how to configure multiple locations in HybridShare, and we will also discuss global file locking. From there, we will explore Synology Drive integration for our remote workforces. HybridShare allows you to synchronize with multiple Synology NAS units. This means that each Synology NAS unit can have a unique local cache, meaning that every location has access to files that are the most important to them. We can also synchronize permissions for each Synology HybridShare folder across all of our locations. Lastly, Hybrid Share supports up to 10 Synology NAS units getting access to the same Hybrid Share folder. For our next demo, we will explore mounting a Hybrid Share folder on another Synology NAS. So here I've logged into another unit. I'll click Shared Folder, Mount Hybrid Share Folder, hit Start, and it'll authenticate against my C2 storage account. So this process looks very similar to our previous demo. We'll click Allow, hit Next, and as you can see, this accounting folder is connected to 1 out of 10 devices. So this is exactly the behavior that we want. Now it's going to ask for the encryption key that we created for this specific Hybrid Share folder. From here, the process looks very similar to creating a shared folder on the Synology NAS. And of course, we need to reserve 500 gigabytes for the local cache. So we'll click Done here and move on. From here, you'll see that it's initializing and we should see the words connected very soon. And there we go. And again, we see that cloud icon in the control panel. Now, if we go to File Station on this NAS, you'll see that accounting cloud icon, and you'll see a few files here with the cloud icon. This will let us know that the file is currently stored on C2 storage. So I'll select a few files here, right click, pin to local cache. Now these files will be downloaded from C2 storage onto the Synology NAS device. And as you can see, this file is pinned to the local cache with a green solid check mark. Now for our next part of the demo, we will connect to our SMB share again. Enter the credentials for our SMB share, and you'll notice I have access to the same 5 files we saw in the previous demo. So let me go ahead and add an additional file here via SMB. And in this case, it'll be the travel expense calculator. Let me go back here to File Station, and I'm actually going to refresh File Station on SLabDVA. And you'll notice that travel expense calculator made its way onto this unit. Now we'll jump over to our other Synology NAS and we'll refresh the file here. And you'll notice that the travel expense calculator was also synced to this unit. Now let's go back to our C2 storage portal. Let's refresh the page here and go to accounting. You'll notice that it now says 2 devices connected. We can click and you'll notice that both SLabDVA and SalesDemo2 have access to the accounting folder. So this concludes this demo where we saw how easy it is to set up Hybrid Share on another Synology NAS, add files, and see the synchronization happen between 2 units. Now we'll revisit our map from earlier in the presentation. As we discussed, we have multiple locations, each with a Synology NAS. From there, local users are accessing data specifically important to them. But all of these locations are interconnected through our global file system, which resides on C2 storage Hybrid Share. As your organization scales and grows and continues to add more users or more locations, you want to consider the scenario of 2 users trying to edit the same file cross-site. Synology Hybrid Share supports global file locking. This means that through popular protocols of your choice, such as SMB and NFS, you have the ability to lock files on popular programs such as Microsoft Office and AutoCAD. You also have the ability to add customizable extensions of your choice. For our next demo, we will explore global file locking. Here, I've logged onto my C2 storage portal. I'm under Hybrid Share. And again, we are working with our accounting folder that is connected to 2 devices. Global file locking is enabled here in this case, so let's go ahead and take a closer look. As you can see here, global file locking is enabled, and we can actually have this applied to all applications, or we can apply this to specific applications such as Microsoft Office, AutoCAD, and any custom extensions. Here, I've added a custom extension of .ai. So let's go ahead and get out of this screen. We'll click Cancel and Cancel. For this portion, we will explore global file locking across multiple units and different platforms. So here on the left, we have Mac, and here on the right, we have Windows. As you can see, the Hybrid Share folder accounting is mounted on a different unit called SLabDVA. So let's go ahead and open up the travel expense calculator file. Give it a few seconds to open up here on the Windows side, and it's open. Now let's jump here to the File Explorer, and let's actually try to open this file on the Mac OS side. So we'll go ahead and open this file, give it a second, and you'll notice that this file is now locked for editing. This is exactly the behavior we wanted. Global file locking allows us to lock files across multiple NAS units and across multiple platforms. Now that we've explored global file locking, we'll want to talk about the integration between Hybrid Share and Synology Drive. If you want to learn more about Synology Drive, I encourage you to take a closer look at the webinar we recently published. Now, between Synology Drive and Hybrid Share, we'll want to talk about team folders. Through team folders, we can essentially enable local versioning of our files. Next, we'll want to take a look at sharing. Through the capabilities of Synology Drive, we can create a share file link to share our files with users inside and outside of our organization. We can also add watermarks to files. Lastly, synchronizing our data. We can sync data from Synology Drive to our remote workforce, whether they are accessing the data from a Mac or PC or an Android or iOS device. For our next demo, we will take a look at the integration between Synology Drive and Hybrid Share. So here we've logged onto a Synology NAS unit. We'll click the Synology Drive admin console, and we'll go to team folder. As you can see, the accounting folder that is a Hybrid Share folder is listed here as one of potential team folders. So let's go ahead and click it and click enable. From here, we can enable versioning to be able to use this NAS to restore previous versions of files and rotate previous versions as well. So let's click OK, and we'll click yes here. We'll click OK for this process, and we'll actually showcase the Synology Drive web portal. So let's go ahead and open that up. The Synology Drive web portal is actually going to be a great way for your remote workforce to get access to their files. So here you'll notice that we have access to the same files we've been working with throughout our demo for our remote workforce. So we can also use this to share files outside of the organization or to roll back to previous versions. Now for the next portion of the demo, we'll actually take a look at the Synology Drive client. The Synology Drive client is going to be another way for your remote workforce to get access to their files while they're online or offline as well. So let's go ahead and go through the sync task for this demo. We'll click next. We'll select the accounting folder, which is actually a Hybrid Share folder. But remember that we had to enable this as a team folder to get to this step. So let's click accounting here. We'll click OK. And we'll enable on-demand sync for this specific folder. So we'll just call this task accounting. We'll click done. We'll click next. And from here, we can get access to our files using the Synology Drive client. Again, the Synology Drive client is going to allow us to do on-demand sync and also work offline. This is a great solution for your remote workforce on the go, giving you the ability to access your files via a web browser or the client. To recap, here we have our map of the US with multiple offices, each with their own Synology NAS. Of course, the local users are accessing the data on their local Synology NAS, but all of the data is interconnected centrally via C2 storage. Now, for those remote workers, they're getting access to their data via the Synology Drive client on their Mac or PC or on their mobile device on Android, iOS. For Hybrid Share, we've explored global file locking and the integration between Hybrid Share and Synology Drive. The last thing we'll want to discuss is C2 Storage Explorer. C2 Storage Explorer allows us to log into a web browser to get access to our files in the event that a NAS becomes inaccessible. For our last demo, we will take a look at our C2 Storage Explorer. C2 Storage Explorer is a great way to access your data in the event that a NAS is inaccessible. So let's go here and click Accounting. It'll open up a new web page for us, and it'll ask us to enter the encryption key for our C2 storage account. Keep in mind that this encryption key is different than the encryption key for the specific HybridShare folder accounting. We've already entered the encryption key for accounting, which is why it automatically shows us this data. From here, we can select 2 files, and we actually have the option of sharing these files or downloading them. And I also have the option of adding files or folders to the C2 Storage Explorer platform. For this next portion of the demo, we will take a look at sharing files with a colleague. So here we have this file, check register with chart. Let's go ahead and click share. I'll enter Cody's email here. And I have the option of making Cody a viewer or an editor. Let's go ahead and click OK. You'll notice at the top middle of your screen, it'll say this file has been shared. This is actually the perspective of Cody's email once I've shared a file with him. Cody actually has the option of uploading files directly via C2 Storage Explorer if I gave him editor privileges. As you can see, C2 Storage Explorer is a way for you to get access to your files in the event that the NAS is inaccessible. Moving on to section 3, recap and next steps. We started off with looking at our C2 storage platform, which includes solutions such as HyperBackup, HybridShare, and C2 Storage Explorer. But the main focus of our presentation today was our global file system, HybridShare, with features such as global file locking and integration with Synology Drive. Now, if you need additional help, we encourage you to go check out our Synology product online training page, where we have countless hours of content for you to check out. If you have additional questions, we have an extensive knowledge base with thousands of articles and some that even discuss our HybridShare solution. If either of those are unable to answer your questions, we encourage you to send an inquiry our way, and our inquiry team would be more than happy to help. Now, if you have any questions and you want to reach out and you're a business user with a dedicated IT team, please email us at onboarding@synologyamerica.com. Now, if you're a channel partner, such as a reseller, a value-added reseller, or a systems integrator, please reach out to us at sac_sales@synology.com. Now, if you're based out of the UK, please email us at uk_sales@synology.com. With that being said, everyone, it's been my absolute pleasure being your presenter for today. Until next time, thank you.